Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we're back with another review. I'm going to be going over Nosferatu. Yes, the vampire movie that just came out recently. If you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, I am going to be recapping and spoiling everything. So please come back, save this video for later, and yeah, you can enjoy after you've seen it for yourself. My recommendation before spoilers right off the bat, yeah, I recommend it. Really good film, fun to sit through. Very beautiful cinematically. It's a very simple, straight to the point story. It follows kind of the typical tropes that I think you would expect, while also still being very realistic. You'll still get sucked into the world. There's not a lot that takes you out of it. It's not modernized. It's a fun film, and I highly recommend it. So yeah, if you can stream it, I don't know if it's still in theaters, but if it is, go check it out. Absolutely. I think it's a fantastic film. Had a lot of fun with it. All right. Spoilers ahead. You've been warned. Our movie opens with a woman who's desperately praying. A shade talks to her from the window, which lifts her off her feet. He tells her that she isn't for mankind and she'll serve him. He then grips her up, and then she has a small seizure outside. Some years later, unspecified, we see her wake up in a bed. Now, I hate to be rude, but she's got quite the forehead. I would know. I'm all forehead. That being said, I would describe her as a Tim Burton character, if that makes sense. She kind of has that look. Like if they were going to make The Corpse Bride, live action, that's who I would cast for sure. She's married to a guy named Thomas, and we find out that they're in 1838 Germany, and Thomas is a real estate agent. Thomas shows up late to a meeting he has with this guy named Herr Knock. It seems like Knock doesn't really give a shit. He likes to use the word providence too.
Is providential, my boy, providential. Come in, come in.
Now, he calls his wife a sylph.
She truly is beautiful. Almost a sylph.
What the fuck did you just call my wife? Anyway, he tells Thomas that a certain count is looking for a home. Thomas is told that he needs to go to the old bastard himself in person. And while the boss doesn't say the name of the town where the count lives, they show it on a map. Transylvania. Ooh. So he goes home to tell his wife. His wife's name's Ellen, by the way. And she throws a tantrum.
Let us put them in water.
They will only die in a few days. Throw them out.
What?
Throw them out!
It's probably IBS. Thomas and Ellen go to this toolbag's house, who's a friend of Thomas, and they drop off Ellen there before Tom goes on his trip. The toolbag's name is Harding, and he's a ship guy. He owns a shipyard. While Tommy Boy is sleeping, Ellen cuts a lock of her hair, and I assume she's going to put it in the locket. Why? I have no clue. The next morning, they finally say goodbye. She gives Tom her necklace, and Tom's off on his adventure, one horse trot at a time. We get some beautiful shots of beautiful landscapes. Eventually, Tom comes to what I'm saying is a gypsy camp. They all start laughing at Tom for no reason. The gypsy tells him to go home, but when Tom offers double to let him stay, they let him stay because money talks. Now, this leads to yet another gypsy begging him not to go to the count and telling him to pray. Tom watches as the gypsies take a naked virgin woman into the woods.
You sick boy. What is you?
There's a coffin there. They say it's a vampire and pierce it with a stake. This causes Tom to wake up as if it was from a dream, but finds the gypsy camp empty and his horse stolen. Obviously, unbothered by this chain of events, he starts hiking to his destination. Now, I don't know about you all, but when the scenery starts looking like this, my first thought is going to be, is this job really worth it? I don't think so. Tom decides to watch this carriage come towards him and not move a single inch.
You dumb motherfucker!
Well, that's okay, though, because this driverless carriage, Tokyo drifts perfectly to present Tom the door, and then the door opens by itself. Does this bother Tom? No. Why would it bother him? Tom gets taken up to the castle, and given everything he's experienced, This man doesn't second guess any of this at all. He goes to knock, but the door just opens. Totally not menacing at all. Neither is this man who's already waiting for him. This is quite common human behavior. Count Chocula here talks slow, with an accent, and in an extremely normal and welcoming tone that wouldn't bring about any suspicion at all.
Your lord, I will be addressed as the honor of my blood demands it.
Count Chocula is butthurt that he wasn't called Lord, and shows us, the viewer, his decrepit little hands, and very gross nails, I might add. For some reason, Tom thinks talking to the Count about what he saw the gypsies doing is a smart idea, so that's what he does. This old fuck, who can barely breathe, starts yelling at him for bringing it up.
Speak not of it again!
This scares Tom shitless. Count stress breathing here gets a little turned on when Tom cuts his hand. Tom watches this statue turn its head, and he starts panicking as Count Chocula comes closer to him. Meanwhile, Ellen and the toolbag's wife are walking, and Ellen starts talking a lot of weird shit to her. And her friend has a very normal reaction to this.
As if there is something at play that is too awful or grave to explain.
Back at the castle, Tom wakes up on the floor of the dining room. The castle looks even worse in the daylight. His first words when he wakes up are, "Count?
Count?
Count?" When you wake up on the floor after shitting your pants in terror, are you going to call out for the thing responsible for the browning of your pants? Or are you going to leave? I'm going to leave.
I'm out, man.
Tom finds a mirror, and he notices that he not only has marks in his underwear, but he also has marks on his chest. So it's back to nighttime, and I can only imagine Tom decided to hang around for a while, because he's totally safe there. Obviously. This is when the Count tells him that he needs a signature as a solicitor, but for some reason, the contract is in his language, which Tom doesn't speak. The Count asks to see the pendant that he has from Ellen. The Count drops a bag of gold coins on the table, as if showing Tom the fucking peasant that he is.
No.
Tom, being the absolute genius that he's been through the film thus far, he signs a contract that he can't read. Because why not? Now, to be fair, I do think he was made to sign through some vampiric power. If we look at how the composition is in these scenes, you'll see that it does kind of look like he's doing it against his own will. So, in the interest of fairness. After that, the Count takes off, but he leaves with Tom's locket, which Tom doesn't do anything to get back, by the way. When Tom wakes up the next morning, he has more marks on his chest. Now, he finally decides to get the hell out of there, but realizes that he can't. He has to break open this door, and he follows the path, where it leads to this creepy-ass box. Again, I have to say, instead of, looking to go anywhere else, he approaches the scary-ass box, and what does he notice? This would be, for literally anybody else, the time to leave. Tom, however, doing what any sane man would do, he opens the box. A dead body lies inside, the Count. This is when Tom takes a page out of the gypsy playbook and he goes to kill the corpse. The corpse is a little more spry than anticipated and stops him mid-swing. Tom hauls absolute ass. We then get this scene where we get to see Count Chocula use the locket like a walkie-talkie to talk to Ellen and tell her to dream of him.
Come to me, dream of me.
The Count makes Tom open the door where he's hiding. Tom gets his chest slurp, and the Count is taking big gulps. Is this how Nosferatu always fed on people? I've never seen vampires do a chest suck before. Back in the city, Harding has a doctor give some 1800s advice we can all approve of.
I'm disposed to recommend that she sleep in her corset. It encourages correct posture, calms the womb, and revives circulation.
Yes, very well.
Tom wakes up and jumps into the river below his window. I guess he finally decided enough was enough. Ellen has another seizure on the beach, and we cut to the doctor, who is notified of a patient locked in the dungeons. It turns out Tom's boss is the guy in the dungeons. He's eating rodents and pigeons raw. This carnivore tells the doctor that someone is coming, which we can all assume is Count Chocula. He attacks the doctor, and then we see that Ellen is also having attacks. This is when Harding finds out that Tom's boss was admitted to the asylum. We come to a lady gathering sticks, and she comes across Tom by the river. Back with Tom's friend, the doctor is telling him about this guy he only kind of sort of recommends, because the guy is also a little wonky in his research. The lady who found Tom has him in a church. Tom wakes up and the nuns tell him that he needs to stay there. But he can't stay there because he knows Count Chocula is already on a ship heading to Ellen. The professor is played by Willem Dafoe. Now, this movie has gone up several points for me just from this alone. The professor, taking one look at the guy, knows the situation according to them. Tom leaves the church to go to Ellen. On the ship, people are dead, and they come to the conclusion that the cargo is cursed. On the ship, people are dying and they're catching blood plague, but the people on the ship think that the cargo is the cause and the curse. Back at Harding's place, the crazy professor and Ellen start a yap fest about her past. She tells him when her dream started and how her dream stopped when she met Tommy Boy, but then they came back. Later that night, they watch her in her trance. This crazy old fucker sticks a poker straight through her wrist.
With us.
Professor, I do protest. But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
After this moment, she starts wilding the fuck out. Willem Dafoe's character, the professor, starts trying to compel the demon inside her to do what he wants, but she starts throwing out counter curses. It seems like she's able to resist, but the professor rolls a nat 20.
Impart your speech unto me.
Shall persist to join you every night first.
After this situation, Dafoe expositions to the gang and the audience to let them know what's happening. She'll rave all night.
No more ether.
But she will rave all the night.
Then rave she must.
Every morning,
Back on the ship, we can see a couple of the sailors toss a body into the sea. This dude is like, I'm ending the ship right now. He goes to the cargo where he suddenly starts to lose his nerve the closer he gets. And somehow, he walks right past this giant fucking vampire. And then obviously, he gets munched on. Herr Knock pretends to get knocked over and then eats a guard and escapes the asylum. Tom makes it back home, and instead of using his time of consciousness to tell them about something important like, I don't know, hey, there's an ancient vampire and he's on his way to come take my wife. No, he just decides to say some bullshit about her being right and then pass out. The authorities show up and they come to take Harding to see what happens with the ship. The ship has crashed into the dock and there are tons of rats all pouring out. Plague rats, mind you. This is when we see that Herr Knock had already taken the coffin to its new home. Count Chocula, in his new home, explains to Herr Knock that the woman has to come willingly to the Count, and she can't be taken. The city is now overrun with plague rats from the ship. Ellen wants to see the crazy professor. Meanwhile, Dafoe, the crazy professor, is with the doctor. They discuss how the corpse are displaying blood plague, but you can see that the body has been exsanguinated. This is when shit really starts ramping up. The Count sends a shadow out to fuck with Tom. Tom's having a really rough night. Anna goes to put the girls to sleep, and they say a little prayer before they go to bed.
no monsters, nothing. Now, give me a kiss and say your prayers.
Don approves. After leaving the room, Anna starts to feel a little weird, and she looks around, we get a panned angle, and then Ellen scares the absolute shit out of her. Ellen wants to stay with her friend for the night, and her friend gives her a cross.
You may take it if you wish.
Don approves. We cut to Defoe, and he talks his game and he talks his shit. And then finally, he says the name of the movie.
Memoria. Nosferatu.
He said it! He said it!
Ellen gets up in the night, opens the window, and lets in Nosferatu. Mind you, with no regard for her beloved friend that's just right there. Nosferatu then mansplains the situation to Ellen.
It is not me. It is your nature.
No.
Don approves. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but this motherfucker talks real slow. He starts yelling, which doesn't wake up the other person in the room, by the way.
So you wish me to prove my enmity as well? I will leave you 3 nights. Tonight was the first. Tonight you denied yourself, and thereby you suffer me to vanish.
It was all in her head, so I guess that's why her friend didn't wake up. Oh, no. Her friend was being nibbled on by rats. Later on, we get to see that Anna, Ellen's friend, is now acting crazy too, and Tom's friend, Harding, isn't happy. Defoe and the doctor start searching Knox's old place for clues. Tom and Ellen are sent back home because Harding gets upset with the doctor and Defoe. He doesn't believe in this demonic stuff, and he doesn't give a shit about superstitions. He demands that they leave. The professor tries telling him that his wife is in mortal danger, but he doesn't listen. Meanwhile, Tom and Ellen are in their humble home where Tom gets more lines finally. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the portion of the film where we find out Tom has been cucked. I know. Let's just let a moment pass for him. Cuck, cuck, cuck. Cuck, cuck. But this was no mere cucking. It was the cucking of the ages. Just like a woman, she deflects from what she's done.
I sought tenderness and I called out. You stopped your letters to me.
What?
You promised to write to me every day.
And she starts blaming him. She pulls a Hulk Hogan and rips her shirt. At this point, I'm absolutely certain it's either PMS or IBS. I can't fully describe this scene, so I'll just say it like this. She gaslights him into dicking her down. Back at Harding's place, his wife finds Nosferatu killed the little girls. Don disapproves. The vampire doesn't stop there. He kills Harding's wife, too. At the funeral for the wife and the little girls, Tom decides to show Harding his bite marks. Defoe says they need to go to kill the vampire. Basically, at this point, Defoe reveals that the hunt is false, and Ellen needs to destroy the vampire. The boys meet up, but Harding isn't there. They go looking for him. Turns out, Harding is at his wife and daughter's grave. Harding has the blood plague. He pulls his wife out of the casket and kisses her with his nasty blood-plagued lips. Later on, Tom and the boys finally find Harding. And given the final position of these bodies,
Too late.
I dare not to think what Harding did with his last moments. The professor says they need to set the bodies on fire. Smart move. The boys decide to go in after Count Chocula and not wait. While they do that, Ellen calls the Count to her. This is when Defoe's character finally reveals that Ellen has to be the one to set them free. Tom leaves to go after Ellen. Defoe sets the castle ablaze. The Count arrives to Ellen, and she looks just like the corpse bride. They kiss, and it's probably the grossest thing I've seen in a while.
But I cannot see. I'm legally blind.
Nosferatu finally gets what he wants. Some of that sweet, sweet, sweet Ellen corpse bride coochie. He may be the prime vampire, but just like any man, he ignored his survival instincts for some coochie and realizes Ellen kept him there until the sun came up. Tom shows up right as the Count dies, and at Ellen's final breaths, they hold hands and she passes away. She lets out a small whisper. Cuck. Nosferatu was a real thrill ride, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't really have many complaints about the story at all. I actually found it to be quite compelling, gripping, and fun. All the actors are on the ball, believable, and fun to watch. I joked around about this quite a bit, but I do believe the lead actress would be great for any Tim Burton films if he decides to make anything new. What I find to be one of the film's best elements is how invested and focused the story remains. In recent times, we've been drowned in films that seem to lose their own plot and would rather insert needless grandstanding and message pushing. This film is what I would call a genuinely good film, as it sucks you into that world and never takes you out for a moment. All the elements felt grounded within the reality of that world. The story feels consistent across the board, and the actions of the characters align with what you would expect people to do in these situations. I know I talked a lot of shit about Thomas continuing to Nosferatu, but I think the pull of Thomas to the castle was to show the power that this vampire has on people. The power the Count has to manipulate your mind and orchestrate his will. Which is why, in the end, it was necessary for Ellen to be the one to kill Nosferatu. She seemed to be the only one that could control somewhat of the situation, enough so that she had the opportunity to eliminate the world of this nasty vampire curse. I truly can't compliment the story of this film enough. That being said, the cinematography and the color of the film is absolutely gorgeous for the tone and mood it's setting. I found myself in true awe and admiration for the scenes that the movie gives us. The scene of Defoe looking out the window, we the viewer are behind him, but we can still see his face basking in the glow of the sun because of the small mirror in the corner of the room. I found the artist's display of eeriness and absolute dread. The shot of Ellen waking up in the morning, which does a really nice rotation, is really impressive. And the scene of Nosferatu being a shadow in Ellen's curtains. These are just some examples of some really beautiful shots, and I'm sure others will have their own. All in all, I absolutely recommend this film. I think it's going to be a film that people come back to, and a lot of people who are trying to learn about film or want to get better at certain cinematography, they're definitely going to draw inspiration from a lot of those shots. It's not hard to see why someone would really appreciate a film like this. Something that's static, doesn't really need follow-ups, doesn't need to build a whole universe or whatever. It just sucks you into that world, tells a simple, quaint story, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. I had a fun time with it. It's kind of a classic film in that sense, where you can just pop it on and watch it, where a lot of other movies these days are kind of struggling with that, right? Where we've gotten drowned with like superhero films, and I need to watch this TV show to understand this and that. Whereas this, it's like, Nosferatu, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. That's the short and curly of it. And let me know what you think down below in the comments. I hope you liked this review, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, tell your mom and your single aunt, hey baby, what's up? And if you didn't like this video and you made it this far, I thank you for giving it a chance. Leave your feedback down below. I'd love to hear from you. With all that being said, everybody, thank you so much for all the love and support. And no matter where you are on this beautiful blue marble of ours, good day and good evening and good night. Peace.
Then rave she must.
Every morning, yeah.